Happy Sunday morning. For those of you out there who are already here and listening, good to see you, listening and watching. And it's a nice sunny morning today. I like this part of winter, that part where it's going away. So welcome, everybody. It's good sunshiny morning today. It's going to be a little warmer. It's nice, just little sweater weather like this, and I can go outside like this, and it's nice, and I like it. So I've already been outside this morning, had a little coffee. Not quite awake yet for a Sunday morning. It's one of those nights where I thought I went to bed early, but I guess it was about 11 or 11:30. I woke up around 2 and couldn't get back to sleep. And I turned on an archaeology show, one of my favorite shows to binge watch. Is Time Team with Tony Robinson. They ran for I think from 1996 to 2014. They ran shows. Look who's talking, Doug. So Hottie Roberts, he says. And I never got that in high school, by the way. It was always, the nicknames, Scotty, oh so hottie. I didn't get that till I was an adult, and it was like my wife. It was always Scotty Potty in school, and when I was a younger kid, and it was like, well, thanks, I think. So anyway, Time Team is awesome, says Field Guy. I watched tons of those. Yeah, me too, over and over again. I like Tony Robinson. I tried to see if I could get Tony Robinson to write a foreword for The Sword and the Clay. And I didn't get any response from his people. Of course, you can't get directly to those people anymore. You have to go through their agents, through their PR people, even on their social media like Facebook. So I don't think it was ever even seen. But the reason I had asked him was I did a little creative name dropping. I know that Tony Robinson, Field Guy, I don't know if you know this, but Tony Robinson went over to Egypt and went to my friend John Ward and Maria Nilsson, went to their site in Egypt. And he was down, they went way down in a shaft that was partially flooded and uncovered a big amphora down there, or an Egyptian version of what would be an amphora. And Tony Robinson was pretty geeked about that. So he's been there filming. And so I did a little creative name dropping, but I don't know if he ever actually saw it. So that's the thing. So I'm still working on a couple. The book's not published yet. If I got a couple of feelers out there on getting a nice foreword for the book, and that would be very cool. I'd love to have Sir Tony Robinson do the foreword of the book. And of course, he was my first encounters with Tony Robinson was when he played Baldric in Blackadder. And so years and years ago, I think the late 70s, perhaps early 80s or early to mid 80s when they were doing that series. Blackadder. Good show. Yes, Matthew Sainsbury, Hatshepsut's memorial is awesome. If you're talking about her funerary temple of Diyar el-Bahre at Jesheru at Diyar el-Bahre in Luxor. Great place. I've been there a couple of times. Just one morning, I just car over there and by myself at sunrise. I wanted to see the sunrise from there, looking east toward the Nile from her temple. And so that was good stuff. I enjoyed that. Hey, Susie Q. Good to see you. And who all is in here? That I haven't said hi to anybody, I don't think, except Field Guy. Roger Rabbit was here very early. And Field Guy, Doug Stack, Matthew Sainsbury. And I don't know what that was. Your screen time was down 25% last week for an average of 8 hours and 22 minutes a day. That just popped up on my screen. So I averaged 8 hours and 22 minutes of screen time last week. And it was down 25%. That's probably because we weren't feeling good last week, and we spent a lot of time just getting up and going back to sleep. So anyway, last night, that's what I was in the middle of. Woke up about 2 and started watching Time Team, and can't have the TV too loud, of course, in the bedroom, and tried to go back to sleep around 3. That didn't work. Probably slept a little bit in there, off and on, off and on, off and on. Finally got up at about 5:30, made coffee, left the bedroom, and went outside. And so back and forth. And I fell back to sleep around 7. Excuse me. How's that for radio? Cough buttons, sneeze buttons, noise buttons. Well, we're not doing radio right now. We're just doing YouTube. So, yeah, Rainey's up there cooking steak and eggs, that's for sure, and pancakes. Yeah, that'd be awfully nice. No, she's still sleeping. Thank you, Delaney. I appreciate that. High vibes and cosmic hugs. I appreciate those. And so it was one of those kinds of nights. But as you can see, the day is going to be glorious. Look at that. And I wish you could see out my window. There's my window. That shade is only up there for radio time. And and that's all out of there, but it won't focus on just the window, so it just blots it out. But blue sky, trees, water tower, all of that. So let me get this back in the right spot. There we go. And Susie Q is working up to homemade sweet rolls. They've been rising since 2 a.m. So have I. How about that? So, breakfast. Yeah, it'd be nice to have a Sunday morning brunchy breakfast around here, but, Flynn's gone today, and Eller's got a friend over and for sleepover last night, and Rainey's still sleeping. Rowan had a friend over. Ellery was already up watching stuff on TV, and so Rainey might make a presence if she wakes up. Good enough, Rapid Dog. Good to see you. Bad Moon Rising, he says. Welcome to the Sunday morning program, which nothing really big planned today. So we're just kind of going by the seat of our pants today. I got things we can talk about. Nothing life-altering, nothing that's going to send you on your way this week, although I could do that. Hey, Roger Rabbit made it back. Good morning, Roger. Good to see you. Glad that you were here. And I sent myself a link early this morning. What was it? Oh, yeah. I remember. I thought, hey, maybe I'll bring this up. And this is nothing super charged that's going to send you into your day or into your week with something greater and gooder and better and all of that stuff. It's just stuff. And I thought you might enjoy this. How many of you liked the movie Dances with Wolves? And I was noticing an article out there. Do you know Dances with Wolves came out 30 years ago? It's been 30 years, 3 decades since Dances with Wolves came out. Field Guy, well worth seeing. And it's a great movie. Puts you in a mood, that's for sure. And these are some of those behind the scenes things that, yeah, me too, Doug. And it's been more than 30 years. It's one of the best Westerns of all time. It's been claimed to be. It's holding the record of the highest grossing Western movie ever. And of course, it was directed and starred Kevin Costner. And it's based on the 1988 book of the same name by screenwriter Michael Blake. And it went on to receive 12 Oscar nominations, and it won 7 Oscars for Best Picture, including Best Picture and Best Director. So, yeah, Best Western is a horrible hotel. I've been in far too many of them. So, hey, Carly. And Steph Cuervo Queen, good to see you. Glad you're here this morning. And so Dances with Wolves. The film went on 30 years ago to gross about $424 million. And there's a lot that went into making Dances with Wolves a success. Costner did most of his own stunts. To 3,500 buffalo being used in the climactic buffalo hunt scene. It's not really a climactic buffalo hunt scene, but it was a big point of the movie. And did you know that the novel Dances with Wolves really struggled to get published in the first place? Let's see. Screenwriter Michael Blake had an idea for the film after he read D. Brown's Bury My Heart at Wounded Knee. And you remember we used that book and did quite a lengthy series on Intrepid Radio about the conquering of the American West from the Native American point of view. And so he read that and he wrote this book. It went unsold. That was in the early 80s. What else? He took that Western, and it was encouraged by Costner to turn it into a screenplay. He had 30 rejections on his novel before it ultimately got picked up by Fawcett, a very small publisher. So 30 rejections on the book before it got published. You know, the film was rejected by directors. After Costner signed on to be part of the project, he sent the scripts to... I have no idea what that is. What's playing? I think something's playing on this page that I'm on. Here, we'll just do this. We'll turn off the sound. Sneaky advertiser playing an ad. So that you can't find and turn off. So Costner put his name behind it. And it was rejected over and over again. All of them wanted to change something about the film, so Costner decided to direct the film himself. And he made Dances with Wolves was his own directorial debut, and he had said that he never had a burning desire to direct. But everyone I showed the script to, he said, knew what the film didn't need, what should be cut. But I knew this was a 3-hour film. So, and you know what? Length of movies, I'll sit through a good long movie if it keeps my attention. Longer the better, I say. And Costner's, he did most of his own stunts. He did around 95% of his own writing, fighting, shooting, and dancing in the film. And while this is no doubt impressive, Costner kept the rest of the production team on edge. During the buffalo hunt sequence, where he's seen riding bareback and shooting his gun without holding his reins, while filming, he was thrown off the horse, but he kept getting back on and kept doing it. Somebody said, who was this, one of the directors? said, "I was in the copter and all I heard was, 'Kevin's down, Kevin's down.'" You can just imagine what goes through a producer's mind, Wilson told Entertainment Weekly. Yeah, Delaney, I like Yellowstone. I got to get caught back up. It's been a few weeks since I watched it. Ran out of episodes to watch. So, let's see. Costner wanted an older woman for the role of Stands with a Fist. When he was looking to cast Stands with a Fist, the white woman raised in the Sioux tribe who plays his character's love interest, he had an older, more mature-looking woman in mind for the role. He said he was looking for a woman with lines in her face. As Mary McDonnell, who played Stands with a Fist, told Chicago Tribune. However, now she was 37 years old at the time of that movie. Yes? In the wings? What can I do for you? Good morning. Hi. What you up to?
Me and Bentley are going outside.
Okay. You can go outside.
Okay.
It's nice out.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
See you in a bit.
Okay.
Bye. So she was 37 years old. And she got the part. She learned her Lakota lines without any trouble. She gave a convincing portrayal of relearning English in the movie. And she was pretty much the right choice. She got an Oscar nomination for the role. So it was the highest grossing Western to date. Grossed $184 million domestically while it was in the theaters, and overall a total of $424 million for 30 years ago. It was pretty good. It never reached number one on the box office charts, though. Costner was made an honorary member of the Sioux tribe. And due to the film's success and the sensitive way Native Americans are portrayed, the Sioux Nation made Kevin Costner an honorary member. And during an induction ceremony, which included Ironwood singers and a drum group from South Dakota, Costner was given a hand-woven quilt and a sacred eagle feather was tied into his hair. But a few years later, after buying several hundred acres in South Dakota's Black Hills with plans to build a resort, he lost some favor with the Sioux. And in the end, Costner abandoned the plan in 2013. Did you know that Dances with Wolves had a sequel that was never made? While it hasn't been adapted to TV or film, in 2001, the screenwriter Michael Blake wrote a sequel novel titled The Holy Road. And the novel takes place 11 years after the primary story of Dances with Wolves, with Dunbar still married to Stands with a Fist, and the couple having 3 children. Stands with a Fist and one of the children are kidnapped by white rangers, and Dunbar must find a way to rescue his family. Blake was writing a film adaptation as of 2007, but nothing came from the novel, and frankly, Costner refuses to do sequels of any kind for any of his films. So he would have been out anyway. Maybe that's why it didn't take off with anybody. I don't think you could recast his character. You could, and it would be a flop. It would be a dumb B film of what was a very good movie. The film helped Orion Pictures. And they were struggling at the time. Dances with Wolves came out, and the company was $100 million debt. They needed the hit, and Dances with Wolves did it. It wasn't enough to keep Orion in business, though, and a year later they filed for bankruptcy. That's the way those things go. Lots of planning went into the buffalo hunt in this movie. While it looks like there was CGI behind the impressive buffalo hunt scene, the herd of over 3,500 buffaloes running across the plain was very real. And the scene could only be done in one take a day because the animals could run up to 10 miles. It took wranglers all day to round them up. And so the scene took 8 days, a helicopter, 10 pickup trucks, 24 bareback Native American riders, and 150 extras, and 20 wranglers to shoot the scene. And the trucks began herding the buffalo at 5 o'clock in the morning in hopes that they would be in position by 11. And producer Jim Wilson told that to the interviewer here. So that was a pretty impressive scene. Let's see. Grumpy Stack needs a kick-ass font for his tattoo. What kind of tattoo is it, brother? I can find you a good font. I got like 2,000 fonts on my computer. So, or you can go over to 1001 fonts, 1001fonts.com, and you can download any free font you want over there. Cool. You're going to go with the old traditional look of a font text type of font. So, yeah, Matthew Sainsbury, I had heard about that a while back. Mel Gibson was going to make a movie about Judas Maccabeus. We've talked about him on the show before. The Maccabean family in revolt against the Greeks and the Persians. And the Romans, they cut a deal with the Romans to help them oust the Greeks. And Judas the Hammer, he was known as. And it was interesting that I've talked about, now if you've heard some of the series we've done on the show, since we're getting awfully close to Easter, this might not be a bad time to mention this. It's a great historical lesson. Did you know the scene in the Bible where Jesus is a week before his crucifixion? He rides into Jerusalem on a white donkey. And I think it was white. The foal of a donkey is all we know for sure. And he set it up. He told his disciples, go get a donkey that I can ride into the city. He rides the donkey into the city. And what do the people do? The people of the city, they see him coming down the road. And I'm sure the disciples went in. People prepped the way, that Jesus is coming into town, because they all gathered watching him riding into the city from the Jericho Road and into the gates of the city, and the people all lined up, and they were throwing down palm fronds and yelling, "Hosanna to the King," and all of these things. And you might have heard the story, Field Guy. You don't have to read it. You probably experienced this story if you ever went to church at Easter time, Palm Sunday, where they line all the kids up and they give them all palm fronds that you can buy for Easter from a church supply store, I'm sure, supplies those things. And so you've seen it reenacted in church many times, ceremonially. And so this scene where Jesus is riding into town, we all think it's because the people are seeing him as Messiah. That's the way it's presented. But that's not what was actually going on in that scene. When, hey, Elderberry, good to see you. Yes.
Can we go bike run downtown?
No.
Why?
Because I don't want you biking around. Don't ask me why.
Why?
No, you can bike around the neighborhood, but you can't go down to the busy street. Nope.
We went downtown to
And so this story, it is an historical angle on this story is this. When you see people waving the palm fronds in this story, yelling Hosanna to the King, Did you know that the palm frond was actually a symbol of the Maccabean family, who had 150 years earlier, or something like that, had ousted the Greeks from the temple and from Jerusalem, from Israel, and that waving the palm frond was kind of like waving an American eagle or the United States flag or something like that. It wasn't the national symbol of Israel or Judah. But it was a symbol of the Maccabean family. It was a patriotic symbol. So when they're waving the palm fronds and they're yelling Hosanna to the King, what they're doing is they are seeing Jesus riding into the city and proclaiming him a king like the Maccabeans. It's remember the Maccabean revolt. And they are wanting him to declare himself king and lead a rebellion to oust Romans and to end Roman rule over their country. That's what waving the palm frond was all about on what they call Palm Sunday now, which is coming up. It's not today, is it? Might be today, might be next weekend. And so that is what Palm Sunday was all about. And that's why I think you saw in the story the people turn against him just a few days later, because here they are hailing him as the king who would deliver them from Roman rule, raise an army, and oust the Romans. And Jesus said, my kingdom's in the heart. It doesn't have anything to do with earthly kingdoms and with ousting Romans and so on. And the people all lost their interest in him because of that. Hey, Audrey, nice to see you. I just saw that pop up. So great seeing you. So there you go. That's what Palm Sunday was really all about. It wasn't accepting Jesus as the Messiah. It was accepting him as the symbolic Messiah, in that they wanted to see him declare himself king over the Herod Antipas, who wasn't the real king. He was the real king set up by Rome. And they wanted to see him lead a rebellion and oust the Romans. And because he didn't do that, they all pretty much turned on him within a few days. Said, wait a minute, this isn't the guy we're looking for. Everybody go about your business. Yeah, Rapid Dog, that's pretty much it. L. Ron Hubbard said, if you want to make some real money, start a religion. I've heard that before. I know there are people out there who try to start their own cults and their own religions and their own following in hopes of making good money. And so there it is. Maybe I need to start a cult. Nah. So now let's go back to Dances with Wolves, by the way. The film's dialogue coach was a college teacher. To add realism to the film, more than a quarter of Blake's script was translated into Sioux Lakota dialect. Costner found a language coach and a college teacher named Doris Leader Charge, who translated the script in just 3 weeks and taught the Lakota cast members how to speak the language. And this was the teacher's first time seeing a script. Yet Costner offered her the part of Pretty Shield, the wife of Chief Ten Bears, which she ended up playing. And you can, if you watch the movie, you'll be able to see her, who played the wife of the chief. And she was the language coach. Now, Costner and Blake, the author of the book, it says here, had a complicated relationship. So prior to the screenwriter, Michael Blake, working on Dances with Wolves, Costner tried his best to get the attention by studios by arranging interviews. But things didn't go as smoothly as planned, and Blake ruined many amazing opportunities by arguing with the reps. And Costner said he really started to lose patience with him. The two couldn't agree on anything, and Blake moved to Arizona, where he washed dishes at a Chinese restaurant while finishing his book. And after refusing to read the book for months, Costner eventually agreed, and when he read it, he was stunned. And one of the criticisms of the movie is that Lakota wasn't 100% accurate in the movie. And while there's no doubt that Doris Leader Charge did a fantastic job teaching Lakota to the actors, there were some parts of the language that were omitted. Lakota is a really hard dialect. Just talk to Reuben Fasthorse. It's a really hard dialect to master with the gendered speech, making it so words have different meanings for men and women. And Reuben told me there was part of the language, you could have language that you spoke to others, but then there was like the common language among Sioux, and the same words would sound different. And since this was too complicated to learn, gendered speech was left out. So when Lakota speakers watched the film, they thought it was funny to hear Lakota male warriors speaking like women. So that was one of the criticisms of the film. Do you know it was Costner's daughter that played the young Stands with a Fist, the scene where her family was massacred, where she's relating that experience. And she was the little girl. And that was Ann Costner, who's now 35 years old at least. So she's in the scene with when the Pawnee party killed her family during the dream sequence. And so a flashback sequence. And while running, she'd seen looking back over both of her shoulders. This was because her dad, Costner, told her to look over her right shoulder, but she didn't know her right from her left. And she was only 6 at the time. And so there you go. Little anecdote. Costner himself covered a lot of the big budget. The initial budget of the film was $15 million. And because it went over budget, costing $22 million, Costner ended up covering a lot of the budget himself to finish the film. And this only fired up rumors that the film would be a disaster, like the Western Heaven's Gate or the John Wayne Alamo movie. And some studios even started referring to the film as Kevin's Gate. So despite what critics predicted, the film went on to gross $424 million at the box office. It was the best picture Oscar for a Western since 1931's Cimarron. So Stands with a Fist is based on a real person. While there was a real John Dunbar, who was a Christian missionary and ally to the Pawnee during the 1800s, the character in the film isn't based off of him, but Stands with a Fist is inspired by a real person. She's based off of Cynthia Ann Parker, and we talked about her a little bit when we did the Bury My Heart and Wounded Knee series. And she was a 9-year-old girl who was captured by the Comanche in 1836. But unlike Stands with a Fist, Parker married a Comanche before being recaptured by white soldiers. So there were all kinds of production delays, I guess, on the film due to South Dakota's unpredictable weather. They worked with the real animals, the buffalo, the complex battle scenes. But the most challenging scene was the buffalo hunt sequence, they say. And it took 3 weeks to film it. And 100 Native American stunt riders, as well as an actual stampede of several thousand buffalo. All of the work wasn't in vain, as this scene is one of the most beautiful ones in film history. So there was a filming sequence mistake, by the way. If you look closely enough, you might notice that the last scene where Costner rides to tell everyone the buffalo have arrived, it's out of order. It happens to be one of the only out-of-sequence shots in the entire film. In the scene, Costner's wearing pants and a shirt, but the rest of the cast were wearing heavy coats because it was shot during the freezing winter. All of the other scenes were shot in order because of the weather. The only other scene that was shot out of sequence was the opening Civil War scene. Now, they say that Dances with Wolves was a very complicated to film. And even though the movie appears to have taken place in one location, it was filmed at over 30 different locations in South Dakota and Wyoming. And in total, 3,500 buffalo, 300 horses, 130 technicians, and 400 extras were used in this movie. If this wasn't enough of a headache, the film was originally only supposed to take 60 days to film, but it ended up taking 108. And the harsh weather conditions of filming between July and November made the temperatures range from freezing to unbearably humid. It's really humid out on the western plains, just west here, the Dakotas, of where I am in Wisconsin. So what are you guys saying over there? I got a little bit more of this, but why was Fort Sedgwick abandoned? They never told you why in the movie that was abandoned. There were actually some scenes that were filmed that were cut from the movie. After requesting to be stationed in the West, Dunbar is sent to Fort Sedgwick, but he discovers it's abandoned and in a state of disrepair. But in the film, it's never explained how the fort fell apart or what happened to the garrison station there. And this is all explained in a deleted scene. In the deleted scene, the garrison station there has dealt with tons of Native American attacks, but after their horses were stolen and they didn't receive supplies or support from Fort Hays, they decided to abandon the spot. And this was just prior to Dunbar's arrival. According to this article, wolves were difficult to work with. For the role of Two Socks, the wolf that Dunbar befriends, 2 wolves named Buck and Teddy were used. Even though the wolves were docile, they were barely trained, and they were difficult to work with. Just to get the wolves to cooperate, handlers had to have meat scraps with them at all times. One of the trainers was bitten in the leg when the wolf chased him, so Costner did the running in the next take. In order to prevent the wolf from biting him, he threw raw meat at him. So they had unique marketing campaigns for this movie. There's no doubt that Dances with Wolves was a huge box office success. The Western ended up being a huge hit amongst both men and women. It's particularly due to Orion Pictures' unique marketing campaign that created different trailers and print ads targeting specific demographic groups. This is the art of advertising, folks. And so the female marketing campaign focused on the romantic relationship between Dunbar and Stanza the Fist, and the male campaign, of course, featured action. In fact, they didn't want anyone to know that the film was a Western or that it used subtitles. Orion wanted the film to appeal to everybody. I don't know how you couldn't tell it wasn't a Western, whether or not it was a Western. So the Civil War reenactors, by the way, were extras. For the opening Civil War scenes, which happened to have been shot last because of the weather, 250 Civil War reenactors were used for the battle. And one of the extras, Jim Hatzel, a sketch artist and reenactor, got the role in what was his first movie after sending a photo of himself in cavalry clothing to reenactment coordinator Andy Cannon. And since the reenactors had military-style discipline, arriving to set by sunup, they ended up saving Costner lots of time and money. They didn't even have to hire experts because the reenactors were the experts. The reenactors even taught Costner the correct way to salute. And this is interesting. I was a military reenactor with our British Red-Coated group, and we talked about the Highland Regiment before. We reenacted the 42nd Royal Highlanders during the French and Indian War, which took place in the 1759-ish, late 1750s. The 7-Year War, it was called at the time. And we, as reenactors, in order to recreate that era for school kids and for events and things like that, we had to really know what the hell we were talking about. And so we did a lot of historical study. When we were using firearms, my musket's sitting over in the corner here, we had to, with the firearms, drill just like we were in the military. We would take once a week and we'd all get together and drill so we knew what the hell we were doing when we did that in front of the public. So we had to drill with the manual of arms, how to handle the musket, how to load the musket, not just loading it and firing it. We had to do it as a unit because they would call out the commands sometime, and you do it step by step, and you do things, and you do this, and you ram the thing, and re-shoulder it, and so on. And then you'd march and you'd fire. And so it was neat that they had. I always wondered that. I thought, I bet they have reenactors as extras here. So, outside of Open Range with Costner, says Elderberry, one of the best movies outside that. So, Graham Greene, who played Kicking Bird, the medicine man that befriends Costner's character. It says the actors will do almost anything to get into character, but there's truly no limit when it comes to selling their craft. And Graham Greene, who played Kicking Bird, went above and beyond for this role. To best portray a middle-aged man with terrible posture and back pain, Greene put bologna slices in his shoes to make them more slippery and difficult to walk. This artistic choice made his character so much more believable. If that's not dedication, we don't know what is. So, yeah. So there you go. That's what he did to make himself look like he walked with back pain. So the Buffalo Stampede in the film started with an Oreo. With over 3,500 buffalo filming, the stampede scene was super challenging. 2 of them were actually domesticated and belonged to rock singer Neil Young, who was in the news lately for his wanting to remove himself from whatever that music platform is. Can't remember. Can't think of it because I never used it. So Cody happened to love Oreos. You could be 100 yards away, pull out an Oreo, and he'd take off like a bullet straight for you. The producer of the film said. So actually, the scene where an enraged buffalo bears down on a fallen boy was a result of Cody running for an Oreo cookie. It was being held behind the camera. I wouldn't want to be the cameraman standing behind the camera as the buffalo was charging for the Oreo cookie. So, Ten Bear's helmet. The helmet. You remember that scene where he pulls out the helmet? It's a conquistador's helmet that had to be at the time of the fictional time of the film in the late 1800s, 1860s. Would have been 200-300 years old. And he said it was men who came during the time of his grandfather's grandfather. It's a historically accurate helmet. It's a typical helmet called a morion that was worn by conquistadors, who were Spanish soldiers that explored the Americas between the 15th and the 19th centuries. And Ten Bear's timeline works when he calls it his grandfather's time. Let's see. Costner contributed his own money to the film. These are just interesting facts. For those of you joining us a little late, we're just for fun. Just looking at some of the interesting facts about Dances with Wolves, which came out 30 years ago. And Costner contributed his own money with the initial budget at $15 million. He put in $7 million of his own money. Came to $22 million. That's how badly he wanted it done. And then Costner's investment, he made the right decision, contributing to the film. His $2.5 million investment ended up paying off big time in ways he was sure he wasn't expecting. Now, there you go. There's math discrepancies all the time. You read it was a $15 million film, but it was going over budget with a final budget of $22 million. Oh, and Costner put in 2.5 of his own money. So, most films don't have the honor of being added to the National Film Registry, but in 2007, Dances with Wolves received that honor. Each year, the Library of Congress adds up to 25 films across all genres to the registry that are culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant films. And they're meant to show the diversity of American filmmaking. And while Dances with Wolves seems to have hit all three marks, can't help but wonder why it took so long for it to get added, 15 years after. And in critical review, Dances with Wolves got rave reviews from critics and audience members alike. As of today, I'm sorry, that's still the cold I have. So, sneezing like crazy these days. The film even earned 12 Oscars. It had 83% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is a great, if you've never looked at Rotten Tomatoes, it's a great critic site for films. The 7 Oscars included Best Writing, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Director, Best Picture of the Year. And the cast and the crew certainly did a lot to perfect the film, like learning the Lakota language, working with real live animals, not using stunt doubles, and putting meat in their shoes. So the skinning wasn't real, by the way. While the skinning buffalo scene looked super realistic, it actually wasn't. They were made of paper. But they looked so realistic that during filming, a passerby went and called the police. The police arrived with their weapons drawn to arrest the crew for poaching buffalo. Thankfully, it was all a misunderstanding, and after the crew explained the situation to the cops, they all went away laughing. It's a true story. The movie won Best Original Music Score. Gorgeous music in that film. Let's see what else we got in this. We talked about the Buffalo Stampede, the different takes it took, how many days it took. The feasting scene was shot indoors, where Dunbar and Wind in His Hair become friends and exchange gifts. Took place after the buffalo hunt scene outside. It looks like it was shot outside, but it was actually filmed indoors. Scene was filmed inside a Quonset hut because the temperatures were too cold outside with winter approaching. So that's interesting. Movie magic. The Fort Sedgwick pond had to be refilled. The pond, remember where he found the dead deer or elk, whatever it was, in the water. They were experiencing a drought in South Dakota, and they had to keep refilling it kept draining off. Let's see. Dances with Wolves had a great score that really helped the film with people. Even Pope John Paul II, for you Catholics out there, called John Barry's music score from Dances with Wolves one of his favorite pieces of music. There you go. And what else we got? Animatronic buffalo. There was one used, I think, in the film for the stampede scene when it came up really close. Let's see. When they shot the buffalo and it went skidding to the ground. Let's see. That's it. That's all I got. There you go. That's Dances with Wolves stuff. For those of you who watched that movie and enjoyed it. I told you there wasn't going to be anything life-changing with what we were covering there. Just going to be talking about stuff. So... And yeah, Matthew Sainsbury, the buffalo were almost killed off. And the reason that was allowed in the late 1800s was because it was the main source of food for native tribes out on the plains. So there you go. So that's all I got to say about Dances with Wolves. Thought that would be kind of fun to take a look at that. What all you got going on today, guys? As I mentioned when we first came in today, gonna enjoy the day today. It's gonna be nice and sunny, and warm. So Rapid Dog says Jesus' conception was December 25th. That's right, along with Dionysus and some of the other man gods out there, god man. So let's see. Yeah, washing dishes at a Chinese restaurant. The upside is there's no silverware to clean. Yeah, just throw out your chopsticks when you're done. Let's see. That kind of makes me think Chinese buffet would be nice today. That sound good? Hey, Ryan Gale. Didn't see us slip in there. So we were talking about Dances with Wolves. Only because it's 30 years old. Hey, Sarah. Good to see you. Nice of you to come in this morning. And we're almost an hour into the show this morning. So it's been light fare today. We haven't gotten too heavy-handed with anybody or anything. If you'd all like to talk about something heavy, I'm sure I can come up with a topic pretty easily. Scotty's side is so quiet, it seems almost unnatural. Yeah, I know. What, without the kids screaming, you mean? Yeah. One of them already came down and stood in the wings, was asking to do something, and Rainey's still sleeping. Nobody's felt good here between Rainey and I. Both been sick for the last week. Just blah, She lost her voice. Last Sunday, she didn't have a voice. I started getting there by the weekend. And now that it's Sunday, I feel like I'm just barely starting to feel like it's going to start clearing up this week. So chest cold and up into my throat and stuff. Same with Rainy. Kids have been fine, though. So Roger Rabbit says we have a large preserve about 10 miles from us that has about 80 bison on site. Very cool to check out on a Sunday drive. Might do that this afternoon. Very nice. You know what I want to do with the kids, and I mentioned this last year about this time. I've mentioned it on the radio show before. We want to take a trip out to the Dakotas and go see some sites associated with Native American history. And so I get these private chats. Something private came in, which I'm not going to repeat, but very interesting the things people will say when you can't see their face. Which, by the way, I'll get back to the going out to the Dakotas. That's something about the internet that has bothered me. When you get people that want to hack you or want to troll you or things like that, they do it. And the kinds of things that you see, communications on the internet and social media, are because people don't have to show their face. You don't know who they are. And they know you don't know who they are. And so that's why people get away with. And have you ever noticed communication on the internet? It sucks. If somebody disagrees with you politically, the things they say are things they would never dare say to you to your face. But they'll say it when you are they'll say it to you when they're on social media with you. What was this? Hold on a second. I don't know what that's all about. That's weird. I'll have to look into that. Somebody I don't seem to know is messaging me about something I don't know anything about. So that popped up. Sorry for that little interlude there. The veil of anonymity at its best, says Sarah Yusuf. Yeah, ain't that the truth? I used to tell people, I said, it's easy to say what you're saying when you're lobbing anonymous comments from the bushes. I said, why don't you come out, tell me your real name instead of your fake name? And tell us your real name. You know my real name. You want to debate me? You want to call me things? Why don't you use your real name? I said, if you can't, it's obvious that you don't have the courage of your convictions. If you cannot stand behind what you say, if you cannot use your own name when you want to be confrontational about something, then I said, then just don't even start with me, because I'll just ban you, because you do not have the power of conviction behind your words if you cannot put your name to them. I had one guy that was constantly, and it wasn't this forum, it was something else where I would be criticized all the time for the books I wrote on the Nephilim and on the reptilians and on the Exodus and things like that. And it wasn't just people criticizing your book, oh, I didn't like this about your book, and what about this and that. It was people that, I had people going so far as to saying I had no right to be writing about those topics because I wasn't a scientist, I wasn't an archaeologist, because I wasn't a real historian, because I never finished my history degree, so I had no letters behind my name, that because of those things, I had no right to write about those things. And some of these people went so far, because they knew who I was, they went so far as to try to look up my records, looking up my, if I have a criminal record or court records or things like that. I had people posting things about my divorce from several years earlier. I was divorced in 2001 from my ex-wife, so 20 years ago. So about 10 years ago, when I was writing some of these books, there were people out there that were posting things about my personal life on public forums where somebody was criticizing my books, and I got into conversation with them out there, because they would say things and they would start with conversation, then would go into criticism, and then by that time you're either damned if you do and damned if you don't, and so you stop talking to those people and offering up alternatives for what they're criticizing you for. If you stop, you're of course a coward running away. And if you continue, you talk too much. So, yeah, what's the end game of a person doing that, Roger Rabbit? They posted things that were only partial truths about me, too. They said something, we found in your personal records that you had an order for protection against you for beating your wife. Now, that's true. There was that order for protection. But did I beat my wife? No. That was the charge that was made during not the final divorce, but about 6 years earlier, when she went into hiding, took my kids, was in an affair with somebody else. She had my twin daughters, Abby and Bryn, who are now 30. They were 3 at the time. And I came home one day from a weekend trip that she was supposed to accompany me on, and everything was gone. House was empty. And I didn't see my kids. I looked for my kids for 4 months. And I was on my way to winning custody of my kids then. And she made a change of heart. And it didn't last long. Of course, I was in the church and I believed things a certain way. And so I was willing to forgive and move on, and say on conditions that we go to counseling. And it still ended up, obviously, in divorce. And I won sole custody of my kids on the basis of the antics, many of it on the basis of the antics she played. And one of the things she did was file an order for protection against me and claimed that I was beating her and engaging in child porn with my 3-year-old daughters, which was the most ridiculous charge that could ever be made. And so this person, in criticizing my book, that would have been in the year 1990. Let's see, my daughters were born in 92. And they were just turning 3, January of 95. So it was 94, 95, the flip over there between the years. And yeah, Roger, my response to that person, you're going to be, well, you know what? I ended up finding out who that person was. I'll tell you about that as go on with this for a second. And so they're posting a story when my book came out that they were criticizing, had to be around the year. It was between John Ward and I were already writing The Exodus Reality. So it was in 2013, 2012 to 2013. So we're talking events that had taken place and charges filed by my ex-wife in trying to win custody. And a weak, lame attempt to try to win custody back in 1995. So it was, 7, 8 years earlier, something like that. And so let's see, Elderberry says, and I bet she lied in court and got no shack time for it. Exactly. She lied to the judge. I've told this story before, but since you're all here and listening, talked about this before. I remember during this time, we went to court just before the hearings for custody, and it was for the order for protection that she was filing, claiming that she suspected I was engaging in child porn with my then 3-year-old daughters. And what she was using were photos of my twin daughters at age 2.5 swimming in the bathtub, stuff like that. And she discovered, she said, quote unquote, these photos in my files while I was out of town that weekend on a trip we were supposed to both go on. And I realized after all the facts were put together that she didn't go because she was in the middle of an affair. She was trying to figure out a good way to divorce me without just saying, I don't want to be married to you anymore. I divorce you. Goodbye. She had to make it a criminal thing against me to justify her actions, at least publicly. And so we're in court. One of the saving graces of that charge that she made, it's not of the charge, that's probably the bad way to put it. One of the things that really worked in my favor were the pictures she was presenting the court, saying that I was engaging in child porn with my daughters, these pictures of them in the bathtub and so on. She happened to 6 months earlier send, now this is pre-digital age, we weren't digitizing photos as much in 1993 and 94. She had sent a letter, handwritten letter, to an old friend of ours who lived in Florida. And she sent copies, because remember when you would take photographs, if you're old enough to remember, and you had them developed somewhere, like Target, you could order the duplicates. I want 2 of each picture. And she would take the duplicates of the daughters and of our daughters, and she took duplicates of all these pictures and sent them to our friend down in Florida. Said, look at these beautiful pictures Scotty and I took of the girls. Doesn't it look like they're doing water ballet and things like that? Were actually things she wrote about. And we want you to have some pictures of the family. Here's beautiful pictures Scotty and I took of the girls swimming in the bathtub and doing water ballet. And so she obviously had forgotten, or it made no connection to her, that up here in Minnesota, she was filing for divorce, making these charges against me, using the same pictures. It's very same duplicate pictures. And but little did she realize our friend in Florida, her girlfriend down there, got wind of all this stuff going on by talking to me. And she said, I happen to have some pictures she sent. She took those pictures. She blew them up on a color printer. And she actually went to the courthouse in Florida and did a sworn affidavit with the letter, copies of the letter, copies of the photos, and her own affidavit about it, how she had received them, stamped and sealed with the state of Florida. And she sent them in to me. I think they went to the court system. They got to my lawyer, I think, before they got to me, if I remember right. And no, she must have sent them to me, a packet. I gave them to my attorney. And so here we are. We go into, here's the story you may have heard before. And I remember at the time, I was talking to my pastor friend, Parson Larson, and I said, why is she making an accusation like this? It's sick. Why is she doing, why doesn't she just go, I don't want to be married to you anymore. I'm having an affair. Goodbye. It's because she wanted to justify being able to close me out from having any custody of the kids and so on. And so, well, I fought it every step of the way. And so we went to court for this order for protection. And I remember walking into the courtroom, nobody there other than the judge wasn't in there yet, but the bailiff and the stenographer, court recorder, and the attorneys. And that was it, because it was a dealing with domestic violence issue and an order for protection. And I remember the judge came into the courtroom. We're sitting at a long table, my lawyer and I on this side, her attorney and her on that side of the table, and the long table going this way up to the bench, and the bench up over there. The judge came in and all rise, and then we sat down, and he was quiet for a minute. He's looking through papers on his desk. And I remember him. His attitude was kind of like this. And I don't remember him looking up, but I remember him going like this. And this part of the story you may remember if you've heard this before. He took, here I got this sitting here. This picture of Raini. Nice picture of Raini. Look at that. Sitting on my desk. So he went like this. And the very first things out of the judge's mouth, I remember this. He said, Mrs. Roberts. And he holds up a picture blown up, about this size of my daughters in the bathtub. He says, Mrs. Roberts, he says, if this is child porn, and he took it and he did this, he went, and he throws it out on the floor in front of the bench. He says, we're all in a hell of a lot of trouble today. And I looked across the table and glanced over there, and she's just sinking in her chair, turning white as a sheet. In other words, the judge was onto the lie. And he went in setting the groundwork for me getting custody of my kids. She'd had them in hiding in a child protection home for beaten women and stuff like that. And he said, that will end today. He says, I don't care if you like your husband, I don't care what's going on between anything. He says, those kids deserve their father. He says, and I'm going to make sure that's remedied today. And he gave the kids more time with me than he gave with her. And this was just the initial stage of the custody. And so he awarded all that. And my attorney, I turned and I looked at him, and he just put his knee against my knee, and he was like, his hand under the table. He's like, shh, don't say anything yet. And we got out of there as we're walking down the hall. He says, in all my years of family law, he says, I've never seen anything like that happen before. He just went big time in this. You beat this charge, the fake charge, the false charge, and blah, blah, blah. And then I went on to being given by the judge, different judge in our county, because we had to go somewhere in Minneapolis to court where she was staying in the child protective or battered wife shelter. And that's where I had to appear for court for that. Well, then we had to go back to Wisconsin where we had lived and where the divorce was filed, and appeared before that judge, and he pretty much stripped her of all parental rights. And she couldn't do much to challenge. She had all her, it was so sickening to me. She had all her women friends from the church we were in all around. They were all crying in a big circle around her after the court. And I walk out, they're all glaring at me. It's like, I didn't say anything. I just walked out. And it's like, it was hard for me to believe that anybody swallowed her stories hook, line, and sinker. But she ended up over the next couple of years pretty much dismantling herself in front of everybody. So it was an interesting situation to be in, nonetheless. I didn't enjoy it at the time. The whole process took from January, and we were in court in April when the judge threw that picture on the floor. And it was later that year. It wasn't until 2001, and that was in the year 2000. It wasn't until 2001 that I was given custody of my children. And they all came to live with me. My son was a year old, Sam, who you know, and my daughters were 9 at the time. I think 9 or 10. I think they're 9 years older than Sam. So there it is. So Elderberry says, yep, been lied on and proven in the lie, and no jail for women lying to the court. Yeah, that's it. I had said somewhere in that process, I don't know if it was in court, but I said to somebody, I said, she's making a mockery of the system that is in place to protect women who actually are in danger in their marriages or their relationships or from a man. So she should have had to pay my legal costs. You know, it was interesting. I won that whole thing. I mentioned this, I think, on the radio show the other day. I just, a few months ago, got a bill. I found out I have a lien against my IRS tax refund because the state of Wisconsin said I never paid my half of the guardian ad litem bill from 2000. So when all this was taking place, and guardian ad litem, if any of you are familiar with family court and custody, is guardian ad litem is the lawyer they appoint for the children who represents the children's best interests and gives a determination and so on. I'll answer your question in a second here, Sarah. So should she have had to pay my legal expenses? Yeah. So right now I find out I have a 27, I got it written down here. I have a $2,730 Department of Revenue for the court system bill. I jotted that down the other day when I was talking to them. I said, really? You are charging me $2,730 for something from 21 years ago? And I said, is there no statute of limitations on this? I didn't even know that this existed. And I thought that was all put on my ex-wife because she lost that case. But no. There's probably ways to pursue it. But so we were going to get a decent refund this year. But now we're not. So anyway, Sarah asks, how did I meet Raini? This is interesting. The first time I ever laid eyes on Raini was back in around the year 2000. So I was separated from my ex-wife. All this stuff was going on behind the scenes. But her boyfriend at the time was somebody that was a fellow Royal Guard at the Minnesota Renaissance Festival with me. And we stopped at his house to pick something up, and he and Raini had been living together. And I met her briefly. And then it was a couple of years later. It was 2003 2003, 2004, right in there. She and this guy broke up, and happened to see her come into the Irish pub where we all hung out. All us festival people would hang out throughout the year. Every Tuesday night, we go down to the Dubliner in St. Paul and hear the Irish bands playing that we knew. And a lot of the people from the festival came in. And Raini came in one night with her friend Kat, looking like, you've all seen Raini. Place her about 17 years ago, single, dressed to the nines, coming into a bar. And I was like, holy shit, was my reaction. That's Raini. Nobody had seen her for a while. She'd broken up with this guy, and that's Raini. And so I remember seeing her walking in, and I was like, holy crap. And I think I said hi, and I think I called her Renee because I wasn't sure of her name at first. And her response was, hi. And she went by. I was just another guy saying hi to her. Well, she ended up, because I knew her friend Kat, who she hung out with. I knew Kat for years out at the festival. I don't know if Kat was the reason, but remember I told you all a couple of times that I used to have every Thursday night, I'd have a little gathering at my house. And it started with one of my women friends out there, belly dancer and other things that had guy problems. And she came and wanted me to talk because the guy she was involved with was a guy I knew, a friend of mine, and he was married and yada, yada, blah, 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 all that entanglement. And she wanted to come and talk about it. And she was off work on Thursday. She didn't work. And so she came over and hung out and the couple of Thursdays in a row. Then she said, hey, is it all right if I bring my other friend? Her friend came, and then ended up being a bunch of belly dancers at my house every Thursday night. I would make cookies and we'd drink scotch. And so everybody had dubbed it Scotch and Cookies at Scotty's Thursday nights. And then my guy friends started coming. I had some of the Irish bands that I knew from the festival would come to my house. So now imagine being one of my kids at this period of time. My twin daughters were 12, 13, 14, right in that range of age. Sam was 3 and 4. And every Thursday night, I would have all these people would show up at my house, 20 people on average. And we'd have the Irish bands would sit on the sofas and chairs in the living room and play Irish music. I did tarot readings for people. It was just not a party. It was a gathering of friends every Thursday night. And Raini started coming with her friend Kat. And Raini always brought her little dog, little tiny Chihuahua named Mocha. And so Raini would start coming. And so I got to talk to her and got to know her a little bit. And then, of course, before we started dating that summer, we started kind of hanging out in August of 2005. But we'd known each other from the year before out at the festival, 2004. She came to my birthday party, November of 2004. And we got a little close that night. Let's leave it at that. And but nothing ever really, and I was one of those guys that I wasn't one of those guys that was like, you hear guys always get advice from other guys. Don't call her, you'll seem too eager. Well, the next morning when they were leaving the party, Kat and Raini, and I remember I called her. I either called her or texted her. And I said, I hope there's a repeat of last night. I said, I would really like to see you again. And at the time, nothing really came of it. That was November 2004. And it didn't really quite go anywhere, but she kept coming to Scotch and Cookies over the months. And in 2005, at the festival in August, was where she and I really hit it off. And we started hanging out all the time. And I was a dick, really, kind of at the time. I kind of, when I saw it getting serious, I kind of kept her at arm's length a bit. I was like, I've been married twice. I'm not doing that again. I just came out of a 4-year relationship with a different woman, and I don't want to do that again. I'm just burned out on it. And I said, we can hang out, we can be friends, we can have sex, we can do whatever we want. I said, but I am really, I don't want to go into relationship. And I almost lost her during that period, Sarah. And because you can only do so much pushing against somebody, and they finally go, okay, I'm out then. And I remember there was a point she was not living at my house. She had her own house. And on another part of town, she owned her own home. And I had my house over in the western part of the town. She was way over on the east. And I remember that's where the big ghost story I told you about with Rainey. It was just before we started dating. It was the same summer, though. There was big storms that hit the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, knocked out the power in her house. And she had called and said, hey, I know you got a deep freeze at your house. Do you mind if our power's been out? It's going to be out, they think, maybe a couple of days. Do you mind if I bring some of my frozen stuff over, throw it in your deep freeze? Absolutely. Come on over. And she came over with her friend Kat, and Kat was dating a guy that I knew. And so the three of them came over, and they dropped all her frozen goods into my deep freeze. And so we all sat up. We were drinking beers and stuff. And Rainey asked, is it all right if I take a shower? Because we have no hot water at our house, no electricity. I said, yeah, go ahead. So she went into the master bedroom area in my house and went and took a shower. And Kat and her boyfriend and I were all sitting out in the living room and drinking beer and laughing and talking. And Rainey came out of the bathroom. She was fully dressed, and she stood in the archway to the living room and where we were all sitting. And her hair was dripping wet and her clothes were wet. And she said, you've heard this story before, some of you. And she said, I am done in the bathroom. And we're all kind of like, well, okay. And she said, no. And she gave her story of having seen in that bathroom. She said, well, she was taking a shower. She had this uncanny feeling she was being watched. Rainey's sensitive that way, by the way. And at one point, she looked out of the shower curtain and she saw the, I don't remember the exact sequence of events. She might have been stepped out of the shower already. And the drawer to the vanity rolled open and slammed shut. And she just threw her clothes on without getting dried off and ran out into the living room. So we all went into the bathroom after that and challenged what was ever there. You know, we're bravado, we're drinking beer, and we're like, hey, if you're here, show yourself now. And of course, that didn't happen. Well, the next morning, the storms were over. And the next morning, it was a beautiful day outside. My kids were all at their mom's for the weekend. And so I'm alone in the house, and I'm sitting at my desk. It was a bright, sunshiny day, just like this, about this time of day. And I would drink a pot and a half of coffee in the mornings. And so I'd gone between 6 a.m. and noon. I had gone back and forth to the bathroom maybe 2 or 3 times, drinking coffee left and right. And had the windows open. There was a beautiful breeze coming through. The humidity had dropped. It was gorgeous, gorgeous day, post-storm. And one of the times I walked back, and this is the day after Rainey had dropped off all of her stuff in the freezer the night before and had the experience in the bathroom. They were going to spend the night, and they decided to go home after that. So to the house with no electricity. So I went back to the bathroom around noon after having been there 3 times already. And the doors in the were all open, like stair step. And so I shut them all and I tested the drawers. I thought, what could possibly have made those drawers open all by themselves in the last hour and a half? Nothing. Nobody else in the house. And and there's a lot of stories that come from that sprout. That's a springboard for a lot of the stories that took place in that house. So there was a lot associated with that, by the way. So, but that was in July of 2005. And by August of 2005, we're doing a festival. And of course, Rainey and I hit it off in a big way. And she practically came and lived with me after that festival season. And it was almost January when the near breakup took place, bringing it off. I had never admitted that we were actually dating, but that we were hanging out and seeing each other and yada yada. But so I remember she came to pick up her stuff from the house. Winter, some point, January, February, somewhere in there. And I think it was then that I think I actually dropped to my knee and I said, I don't want you to go. I said, I don't know what I want yet. I don't know where I am, but I don't want you to leave. And things got better. And it was actually, I attribute the date, it was February 14th. It was Valentine's Day. We went out and did something together. And you've seen that picture of her. I've shared that before. And of her standing in the doorway to my kitchen with the brown zipper sweater on. And that was taken that night. And that is the date I actually attribute to the beginning of our real relationship. February of 2006. So what would that be? How many years ago is that now? That's 16 years ago. So there it is, Sarah. That's that story. That's how I met Rainey. And I'm glad I did. No, Rainey is not single, Grumpy. No, we got married in 2007. Duh. And so it was small. We wanted to do a bigger wedding. We didn't have the money to do the kind of production we wanted to do. And we got married on the back patio of my house. And she had sold her house and came to live with me and my family. And in October of 2007, we got married. So we've been married for, it'll be 14 years. 15 years this year. Yeah, 7 to 2. That's 5. So 7 to 12 is 5. So it's, 15 years this coming October. So there you go. Delaney says she and Rick had been together for 16 years. I should have gotten married in the bloody shirt. Not sure what you're talking about, Grumpy Stack. The bloody shirt. Is that somebody else you're responding to or me? So anyway, that's how it all started. And stabbed. I'm not making the connection. I'm slow this morning, Doug. Sorry. You're talking metaphorically, obviously. So, yeah, he's grumpy. Don't mind him. So there you go. And so now Rainey and I are pretty familiar with each other. And it looks like naked. And we have 3 children together. And our oldest is 12, as many of you know. Flynn. You don't see much of him, but you see mostly Rowan and Ellery. that like to poke their noses in here. So, Grumpy says, Hope and I got together in 2010, married in 2012. Boom. Oh, the shirt I was stabbed in fencing? A totally unrelated story. Well, you remember that. I mean, we weren't fencing. We were sword fighting. There's a difference. It was at the Iowa Renaissance Festival. That happened. And that was probably 1996 when that happened. So you're talking 27 years ago. Wow, that doesn't seem that long ago. But we were sword fighting, and I had a blade on stage run up into my arm. I've still got still have the scar right there. You can barely see it. See that little scar right there? That is the width of a sword blade that got run into my arm at a diagonal right there. There it is. There, you can see that. Boom. Too bad it wasn't my face, you know. Chicks dig scars, they said. But that's back when I was married to my ex-wife. So when that happened. So, well, it was a sword just like one of those. That's the one I was using, the top one. See, the width of that blade is only about that thin. So, and that's the width of that blade right there. That's a little wider than the sword I was using. So it gives you an idea. So he ran the width of the blade sideways up into my arm. And so there it is. So you're right, Susie Q. Epic love. Chicks dig scars, says Field Guy. That's right. Roger and Carly been together since 2009 and married in 2015. So marriage isn't a word in my vocabulary, says Field Guy. Neither is woman. I'm pulling your leg, brother. I'm like, yeah. You like to keep your stuff. There it is. I still got my stuff. It's 17 years later. Rainey hasn't stolen any of my stuff and taken it away. Oh, speak of the rare beauty. There she is.
You want to know who steals my stuff?
Who steals your stuff?
You do, bread thief.
Bread. She said, you know who steals stuff in our relationship? You do, bread thief. For those of you who remember what she's referencing. She's going to come and sit on my lap and talk to you guys in a minute. So she's actually going to make it in this morning. Susie Q says, good morning, Rainey. Project Skyfall says, I wouldn't know. I'm single. Field Guy says, woman. What's those? Grumpy says, Roger's indecisive. How did Carly stand you for 7 years? That's like milking the cow and not buying it. I was going to ask something like that, Doug. So, why buy the whole pig when you just need a little sausage, Rainey says. I'm sorry, a big sausage, she said. Little sausage, she says. She tries to keep me humble. Field Guy says, Rainey, I'm hungry. Make me breakfast, please. That's why you're not married. I don't have a woman. He did say please, though. He was trying to be nice. That's the neat thing about Rainey, though. I don't expect her to cook, but she cooks. She always cooked for me. I never expected it. I remember one of the first things she ever made for me, which we did when we would sit at my house before we had kids or anything, before we were married, sit at my house watching movies, and she'd make Chuck Wagon sandwiches.
Oh my God, I love Chuck Wagon.
I do too. What'd you put on those? It was a bun, and she'd put sliced ham, cheese.
It was ham, salami, and bologna.
With provolone and American cheese on a bun, and she'd grill them or just put them in the microwave, made them soft and squishy and melty. And she would do those And we would eat those watching a movie. And then she'd go, "You want another one?" And I'm like, "Should we?" And she goes, "Yeah." And so she'd make another one. So Steph says, "Good morning, Rainy. I hope Scotty makes you some breakfast." I know how to make your breakfast. I'll make your breakfast all right, Steph. I got you some. I got you. Here's a bowl of cereal. I was going to say, here's some sausage. Here's a little sausage. Field guy says, Steph, someone got to make me breakfast. That was for you, Steph. He wants you to make him breakfast. So, oh, I had a ring on that finger in just a few months, Roger says, of Carly. You all know my ring story. I've told it. This ring, the silver one. Rainey got that for me when we were dating. And you should come and...
I'm not going to sit on your lap this morning.
Oh, you can't. I didn't know if you were going to stay for a while or not.
If I'm going to sit over there.
Okay, come and sit over there. You and your big ass robe.
I feel fucking hungover. I look hungover. Look at this face, guys. Do I not look hungover?
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
So
today.
This ring, we were stopping at Walmart for something. Rainey needed something from Walmart. So she stops at Walmart. And this is 2006.
This was when Walmart still had a jewelry counter.
Yeah. And she came out, and I said, and I was tired. We stayed up all night or something. I don't know what it was. But I said, I'm just going to hang here in the car. I don't feel like Walmart today. And so she went in and came back out a half hour later. And she said, with this voice, she said, I got you something. I said, what? And she said, and she gave me this ring. And she said, I got a special on it. It was $9.99 plus tax. And I said, woo! I said, that's got to be true love, Walmart style. And she says, but wait. I also got you. It was sitting here. It's upstairs now. She said, I also got you the matching Zippo lighter. And it was one of those silver chrome lighters. You know, you flip, clink, 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 flick. And she said, I got you the matching lighter. And sure enough, it matched the ring. Same color silver. Same finish of non-silver.
Right.
And so I said, now I know it's real love. And that was in 2006, I think. Had to be 2006.
Here comes Ellie. She looks hungover too.
Ellie does. Hi.
Hi, baby.
What are you doing?
She woke up.
She's been up for a long time.
And then she came and laid back down and zonked back out for another 2 hours.
Well, that's right. I did see her come down here. So, how you doing? Good morning. So, that's the ring I still wear. And the other one was the one she got at the Renaissance Festival. The other ring. So
that was that the Renaissance Festival? Oh, yeah, it was
the penny or dollar that he...
Glenville, whatever.
Yeah.
Woodville.
Took a coin and pounded it into a ring. So that's my rings story. That's the ring she got me. With the matching Zippo lighter.
Look at my rings. I have no.
Nice. Where are your rings?
I lost my silver one I was wearing. I don't know.
You see, she said the one with the stone in it was too catchy on things, so she wasn't wearing it.
Yeah, I think Slippery Hands caught a hold of that one though, because I haven't seen that one in a couple of years.
Oh, yeah, that one disappeared. So, yeah, one of these days I'll get her a nice new one. So
I don't wear rings.
No, she doesn't. She did have rings on her toes though when I first met her. That was, guys, that's sexy. Woman with a ring on her toe.
Don't lean
Sexy.
back. Ah!
Which toe did you have it on? Was it your ring toe?
I think it was my left toe, my left ring toe, my left foot.
Left ring toe. I got a picture of her sitting with her foot curled up under her on her desk chair, and you can see the ring.
I know.
So
Now I got a Franken toe.
I always
don't
liked
have to
that.
Accentuate it.
She could get a ring tattoo, said Sarah.
No.
She's got 2 tattoos. And
I don't wear a lot of stuff on my arms and hands because massage. Whatever I put on always has to come off. And not to be like, after 21 years of doing massage, I don't wear rings. Just don't.
Yeah.
They don't
Just get in the way.
If I put it on, I put it on. I have one ring I really like, and it's got 3 stones in it. It's aquamarine. And I got that. Oh man. I got that like 25 years ago. And
Nice.
I like to wear that one, but I took it off. I took it off probably 2 months ago to go do a massage, and I don't know where I put it. So then it sits around wherever it sits around, and I'll find it in a couple months, and then I'll put it back on.
Yeah.
And then I'll wear it for a while, and then I'll have to go do a massage. So
I thought it was sitting here on one of the knobs on my soundboard. So I found it and I put it up there so it wouldn't disappear. Then it disappeared again. So
yeah.
Do you do myofascial release?
I do not do a myofascial release. I learned it, but I never really did it. That's not. I don't know. That's not my thing.
How many more days till base camp?
I don't know.
How many days till base camp?
Mm-hmm.
No idea.
I don't even know what base camp is.
Yeah, I do. I've taken you a couple of times.
Dad took when Flynn was in it. I think you just took Flynn, didn't you?
I did Flynn and I did Rowan one year too. Base camp scouting stuff. It's indoor overnight lock-in at the big scouting base camp where they can rock climb and play games all night long.
Yeah, Ellie's a rock climber.
Yeah, you are. So,
and she likes to do that indoor art.
Sarah, good to see you. Have a good day.
Yeah, have a fun day.
Yeah, Ellie likes to do art stuff.
Radio show.
Hmm?
How long is this radio show?
Whenever I want to quit, it's over. Not much longer. What is it? It's 10:41. Probably go a couple more minutes.
You
And we'll be done.
sit right here.
It's a mole. It's a little tiny mole.
You don't have to point it out.
I've
with
had
Dad's
it
on
there.
The radio.
That's right. Oh, you have bird poop on your hair right there.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do. You got a butt I'm spanking right there. So, yeah, I have as my daughter just pointed out, a little itty bitty tiny mole right there. So,
You gotta sit.
it's been there forever.
You're driving your mama nuts.
Yeah. So there you go. There's some fun stories for this morning.
In my space. I enjoy my morning soda.
Yeah. Just get out of mom's space. Let her sit without you hanging all over her.
Don't spill coffee all over that mat. What the heck?
I didn't.
I have the matching mouse. I just realized that. I have the matching mouse to that.
Oh, yeah?
mouse pad.
Nice. Randy got me the big colored mouse mat on my desk. So it's pretty cool. So
Oh, you're not comfortable.
it's not comfortable.
That's how it is when you wiggle.
What should be seen? I wear ankle bracelets, and I like my inappropriate named bracelets, my slave bracelets. Nice.
I was massaging a lady last night, and her earrings said ass. I couldn't read. It was the silver, and it had the little hammer marks, the pounded in letters, whatever. And ass was in it, but I could not read the word that came before ass.
What was the word before ass?
I don't know.
Want
I couldn't
some?
read it. No.
Oh, wait,
but
that's 2 words.
I didn't want to get all up in her face like this to read her earrings. So
Nice. Hey, Chad Sanders. Good to see you, brother. Haven't seen you for a while. Nice to have you here. We're just going to be wrapping up pretty shortly. So, hey, I want you all to go to the Kickstarter page, by the way, if you haven't done so yet. The reason I keep harping on that, there is a good reason behind that. It's because it's not just to get the book published. This is to show my publisher that there's interest in this kind of book. And you know what? If there's a ton of you that say you love my work, you love the books I do write and my art and all of that stuff, well, go avail yourself of this book. It's about an 8,000 word book, which is roughly 80 pages. And it's got illustrations. You've seen the illustrations. It's a ghost story. There's 2 ghost stories in it, all part of the story. It's a history. It's a true story with a fictional history story to set the backstage. It's a good book, guys.
Doug's buying 500 copies.
Yeah, Doug was in there. Doug bought his copy, got his early order. And I have to Slave Girls of Gore. Oh, yeah. Yeah, tons of slave girls. Iowa. But if you go make a pledge, it doesn't come out of your card right now. It'll only come out if the project gets fully funded, reaches its goal. And so sometimes just going in, if you're planning on getting one, don't wait too long. Go ahead and do it, because that shows other people who go in there that other people are interested in the book. When they see that the book's not rising very fast toward its goal, they pass it by. If they see people that are interested, if you're interested, go ahead and make your pledge. Doesn't cost you anything today to make a pledge. There's less than 2 weeks left to pledge to this book. And at the current rate we're going, we won't make the goal. But I've seen more projects in their last week will go astronomical. That's what we need.
Not only go make the pledge, if you go to the Kickstarter, Facebook share it, tweet it,
Yeah.
Instagram it, whatever the buttons are that you have and you can share, please share it.
Yeah.
Please
You
share
can
it
go,
on everything.
when you're in there, there's a Facebook button beneath the make your pledge, the green bar, and then right below it is Facebook and I think a Twitter and then a link that you can pick up. You think you're really funny, don't you?
She's really cute.
Oh.
I was gonna say, let's look. What do they have? They
Yeah.
got Facebook, Twitter. Is that must be
Email
it.
And then the one with the arrows is just the short link.
Oh. But yeah, go share the heck out of it.
And the Kickstarter page, it's got the whole story of what the book is about.
How do we get back?
You got to go up to the StreamYard. There you go.
We go.
And I can try to share the link on my community pages, but I can't promise anyone will see it or go there. Yeah, the same here. You know, there's no promises in any of it.
But if you can share it. Maybe somebody will see it.
Yeah.
Or maybe that person will share it or see it, or they'll find somebody who's willing to.
And if you see me put up lots of posts about this, there's no way to get the word out there unless you it's like advertising. You can't put up one ad and then wait a month and see if people respond to it. You got to talk about it all the time.
You should go see where
And so, yeah, go see what's going on with them.
Go see where they came from. Please, will you go ask?
In other words, give us a moment without you. I love you.
I'm not stepping up.
There's
here
my
to hug
kid's
you.
butt. Oh, but I got one on the way. So, cord's in the way. It won't let my
then you
chair
got
roll.
Stuck in the pictures too, and then you're rolling on the blanket.
Boy.
Go ask them where they just came from. They just
No,
walked
you stay away
inside.
now. You go outside. So, wow, you're beautiful.
Puffy and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I feel puffy today.
That is a beautiful woman. So, people don't pay attention to me, but I'll copy and share the link now. I sure appreciate that, Field Guy. How do we get you on The View? You will never get me on The View. There you go.
Right.
So
would you if they asked you?
no, I wouldn't. I would not darken the door of the set of The View. Just there are some things you just won't do out of principle. So
Wendy Williams. He would do Wendy Williams.
I'd do Wendy Williams' show. Sure. Hey, I want you to go. Okay, go do something else.
Okay, I'll take Mama then.
No.
No.
I would like you to listen and not just do your own thing. Go the way you came in. Goodbye.
Ow.
See ya. Go. I want you to go play.
If you want to go somewhere and do something fun today, will you please do what's asked? Because I'm not taking you out today if you're not going to listen.
I'm not going to bribe you. I'm just going to tell you I want you to go do what I've asked you to do. See ya.
You said.
Bye.
Move along.
You said.
You do this at
The
nighttime
way-
too when we're doing radio.
I'm
Not
crawling.
cool. Go.
She's going slowly.
There you go.
Big hair in your butt.
That's the child who believes because there's an audience, she doesn't have to do what she's being asked. So let's see. What did I see here? Joy. Yes. Steph Cuervo Queen. Not sure what that was. So yeah, the View should get canceled. It's not a factual show. You know, I was watching Star Trek Picard, the new season, the other night, and they have Whoopi Goldberg reprising her role as Guinan from The Next Generation, and she popped on the screen, and I was like, oh, I like Whoopi enough. You know, I always liked her. And I try to
crotchety in her old age.
I know. I try to separate
She's
the
really
politics out and not pay attention to it, but I just couldn't do it. And it was this is when actors who are creating roles get too heavy into politics. They have the right and the freedom to do that. But when they get too heavy into it, it's like I can never watch a De Niro movie again. Because he's too heavy into his politics, and that's all I see anymore. It overshadows the fictional characters he plays. So look at Patrick Stewart. You might know where he stands on things with his politics or his point of view or whatever, but you don't really. He's not an outspoken activist or got his own political talk show or something that he's used to round up his career with. And so seeing Whoopi in that role, it was diminished for me because of her political stance on things. She's so outspoken about it. And that's sad. Yeah, it is, Chad Sanders. Is The View still a thing? No. It's there to make fun of right now. Let's see. He went on The View to invite her last year, so knew that was happening. Oh, with Patrick Stewart? Yeah. And so there you go. It doesn't matter much to me what anybody believes politically, but if you become an outspoken, like the guy who played the original Lieutenant Sulu, George Takei, that guy is so far off the deep end. And the things he posts, I only stick around. I joined his Instagram before he was really overtly political all the time. Few years ago, and he's just got still got this cough hanging on. He's so overtly political, but he's an activist on top of it. And so what he does on his Instagram is not, he doesn't post political fact. He posts points of view, and he tries to sway people to think that way by taking things out of context. He doesn't provide context. He doesn't provide the whole story. So he's become a pain in the ass to look at too. He's way too political. That's very true, field guy. So anyway.
Yeah, how can you eat best? It's like 11 o'clock.
You got my breakfast ready yet?
No.
Oh.
I'm not making you breakfast. You ate half my freaking pie cake last night.
I ate some of it. And one piece.
Rowan and Bentley said they didn't eat any of it.
I
That was
said
all you.
I said I had one piece.
So you ate like the whole middle of the 8x8 pie thing now.
I had a piece. So I just took it out of the middle.
That was like half of it.
Good actors, when they voice their political views, it ruins everything. Morgan Snow says, agreed. So.
Go tell them no Rick and Morty. That's not appropriate. Goddamn kids.
Yeah, professional sports, same thing. Yeah, it was a big piece, Chad Sanders says. It was good cake. Way too sugary for me, though. I can't eat that much sugar.
Well, it was a cinnamon crumble cake, and then I put apple pie filling.
And she
in the
put
middle.
live apple in it. So it was a cake in a square pan.
8 by
and
8.
I had a piece about that size.
He ate out.
So
he ate half of it. You ate out the middle, and you ate half of it.
I ate out the middle.
The next time you bring home a pie or a cake, I'm just gonna take out the middle of it because I can't actually.
Always the vengeance thing with you.
Seriously, like how rude! You don't just eat.
You don't even know I did that.
Nobody else ate any.
I don't believe that.
Nobody else ate.
There was already pieces missing when I had my piece.
There was a corner piece missing about that big because I had to try it to see if it was good before
See,
I let anybody else eat
I'm
it.
not to be respected and looked up to. I'm to be
Not
blamed for everything
Not
all the
when you
time.
I always eat my gluten-free junk.
One time.
You've already had a pie this week. That was supposed to be my dessert.
What pie did I have this week?
Cherry pie Flynn made.
Oh, we threw half of that away.
Did you
It sat
throw it
out
away?
too long, yeah.
That was still out on the counter last night.
Maybe I didn't throw it away. Maybe I just thought I was going to throw it away. I thought I scraped it into the garbage yesterday. Oh, well. So she's going to always get one on you, says Chad Sanders. That's what women do. Women never forget.
It's the courtesy. It's the courtesy thing. Like,
it's not women not forgetting. It's women have their perception that they never forget. So. She's got stuff in her eye. She's got to take care of. So, everything's usually your fault, field guy. You don't even have a woman in your life. It's always your fault. Yeah, women never forget, says field guy. We're not big into the battle of the sexes over here at all. Not a big deal. I don't care about that shit. Neither does Rainy. But man, there are times it's like, you're just a guy and that's what we think. I'm a guy who loves you and cares about you. Why would I do stupid shit? So,
proof.
There you go.
Proof. Look at this.
Oh, she didn't have anything in her eye.
No, I did.
She went up to prove it.
Look at this. This here, this corner, this little corner. That was my piece. Somebody scooped out the whole freaking thing and ate the middle.
Oh, you know what I did?
You can't
I'll
touch
show you.
it. No.
I'll show you what I did. Here, look. I wouldn't leave the rough edge as you see on this side over here.
Somebody since last night has eaten that.
I took and I went like this because I remember scraping the glass and I went shunk and I took a piece.
You took out the whole middle. That's where all the apple
You
pie
don't know that
is.
I took out the whole middle. You got two kids denying that they had any, but those are two kids that always lie about stuff so they don't get in trouble.
Bentley doesn't lie, and
oh yeah,
he might at home.
I don't lie either.
And you're the only one that had any.
I had some cake. I did not eat all that cake. I can't, with my diabetes, I can't eat that much of that cake.
Well, then
I'd have gone into sugar shock.
Ate half the apple cake.
So there you go. Nice piece, Scotty. Yeah, thank you. I think so too.
I'm gonna put more sugar in it.
And I married her. So looks like you have potheads breaking into your place. Just about. So proof is in the pudding pops, says Elderberry.
Right.
There it is. Pudding pops. I can't remember what that was about.
Jello pudding pops.
Yeah, no, there was some reference he's making to something else. I gotta get something to drink. Hang on a sec. It's just right over here.
Yeah, his mouth's watering now that he realized he ate the middle of the cake and wants more.
Sure. My throat is really dry.
this place we're in winter, it is so dry, and in spring and in summer it is so wet. So we're like adjusting. We're adjusting to everything getting wet and moldy now versus dry.
Soda pop isn't the best thing for my throat, but I need something wet on my throat. Coke Zero.
Coffee's not good enough.
The coffee is old and cold. Like you.
Not funny. I'll never be as old as you are.
You will never be as old as me. Unless I die.
Yeah, and then at some point
I could die,
I'll
and
be
then
as
you'll
old as
catch
you.
up to me. So, there you go. No, I love you.
I love you too.
Why would I want to die and leave you alone?
Oh my God.
I love you too much to die and leave you alone. Rainy got it. He's pudding pops. That's it. There you go. So, I'm going to have more of that cake today, though, because it's a new day.
Since you're drinking sugar-free pop with me, sugar cake.
That's right. I got to go up and like take a shot if I'm going to have any of that cake. So,
yeah.
Yes, NSFFF. Snuff. Let's see. What else we got going on? That's about it. Still washing that sugar down. That's right, Chad. Still washing the sugar down.
Yep.
So what are your plans today? What are we doing?
I don't know. I was probably going to go rock picking because the snow's melting and it's washing the top layer of dirt off those frozen rocks.
There's that. Where'd you want to do that?
Over by the school, they have a whole bunch of stuff.
Right
before it snowed.
That's right.
I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. So
putting in like 260 townhomes or something over there.
262 townhomes. It's not townhomes.
Over by the
single
school.
Homes.
Single homes.
Single homes behind the high school.
It's all open pasture land and stuff now, and
yep.
So
it's crazy. I don't know what our school's going to do. Our school just added on a whole bunch of stuff during COVID time.
Yeah.
To make room for all the kids the district's got.
Yep.
And now they're putting in. That's not the only place that they're putting homes in. There's homes going up everywhere. So.
Everywhere.
I don't know.
Around here. So.
We're going to have to move further out to find another small school eventually.
Yeah. Get a little further out. We want to get some land out in the country anyway and put up our house. Right. So.
Get chickens.
Yeah, there you go. All right, folks. We're kind of out of topics. It's 11 o'clock. We've been going a couple hours, so we're going to call it quits for the day.
Yeah, not to be like, now that I brought that cake down here, my mouth's watering. Goodbye.
Yeah, she wants to eat cake.
Eat cake.
All right, guys. You have a good day. Thanks for being here. Live long and prosper and all that cool stuff. And we're out of here. So, we didn't even open the show with a theme music today. So we're going to do it on our way out. How about that? So, you guys, again, live long and prosper. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time. We'll see you tomorrow night. Bye-bye.